What is that, Joe? A chitin tube? This is gonna be for the meat chickens. Okay, the big day's come. It's time to take all of these cups and jugs off of the plants. It's hot enough, so I'll let you watch the kids do that on a, what do you call it, time lapse. See, we started them outside, planted them in the ground 5 weeks before our last frost date, so that we wouldn't have to start transplants. They'd get an early start. The roots wouldn't get stunted by getting moved and transplanted and changed from pot to pot. Also, the first root that shoots off is the taproot, and when you have that in a pot where it can't keep growing deep, it stunts it permanently. It will grow, but it still stunts it permanently compared to what it would have done in the ground. So we've had some problems, but we've had a whole lot of good. So this whole row all the way down here, these are all ground cherries, and I don't think any of them have come up yet. We had a problem. I'll show you the way that we did them. So what we did was they pulled back the mulch. They pulled that back and they put compost in it so there would be something nice and fluffy and even, and they planted in it. Well, if you can see here, this is kind of mounded up higher than what the level, I don't know if you can really tell, but what the level of the mulch is. And then if you look over here at this tomato plant, it, even though they did the same thing, they put the compost, but it's actually scoops down. And so with it like this, these cups are these, most of the tomatoes never needed watered. We might have watered them once to begin with, but most, actually, sorry, this is a pepper. This isn't a tomato, but still same thing. With that scoop down, that the ground would just act like a sponge and would let the water like seep in, but also it being down, even if we watered on the outside of the cup or the jug, it would just run down in there and it would water these plants without having to lift them. So a problem with these over here that were mounded up, it was a lot harder to keep them watered. So the water would run down and it would be wet underneath, but on the top it would dry out from the sun. And the ground cherries are surface sown and they're very tiny seeds. And so I think that they just kept drying out, and so that they didn't have the moisture that they needed to germinate. Now in the other bed, up in the raised beds, we do have some ground cherries that are sprouting. So I think that has to do with this whole, like a lot of these are mounded up and planted, and those might have been a little lower and easier to keep the moisture. So, but it did, it would, I'll scrape some of this, see if you can tell. But it is, you know, I just barely scratched and you can see it's already dark. It would absorb like a sponge moisture from around, but it's just this top would dry out. So that's causing a problem with the surface sown, but not so much with some of these others. So for some reason, my sweet peppers didn't have as good of a job. So I got one missing here. I don't know if you can tell. This one had 2 sprout. This one is in the process of sprouting right here. It hadn't fully opened yet, and I hope the kids didn't damage it when they were pulling the jugs off. And then we got 2 in here. I don't know if you can see them. And then we got 3 right here, and then nothing here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of 6, I've got 2 that haven't come up. So that's not too bad. So over here we have tomatillos. This one never sprouted right here, and I don't know if it accidentally got missed or what, because that's one thing when you have kids planting, it can get missed. So this one did sprout, and so here's one of our other problems we had. If you can see, I'm not sure if I'm looking at me, the leaves are yellowed a little bit, but this leaf is not. So it was just the first 2 leaves. They got yellowed, they're falling off, but the new leaf is nice and green. And the same thing over here on this one. Let me see, I don't know if it's, are you focused? Those leaves are kind of yellowish, and then that one in the middle is more green. I don't know if you can tell that in the bright sun right now. But we had a problem with a lot of the tomatoes turning green, or not turning green, turning yellow. And what I think happened is that we had several days where it was 80 or above, and we didn't remove the cup. So I think that they just got too hot on those days, and so it stressed them, so the leaves turned a little yellow. I don't think the cold hurt them at all, because actually we were having tomatoes sprout when it was in the low 20s. And so they were actually popping out of the ground that day. So I don't think the cold affected them at all with the jugs on them. And so I think it's either the hot or this dirt is real junky. They had the topsoil scrape, but even what topsoil is around, it's not really, really good. And we bought topsoil and had it brought in and put here, and it's not the greatest. And then we have the mulch on top of it. And like we said, we put the compost for them to grow in. So if it isn't from the heat, my next thing would be it's probably a nutritional, thing making them turn yellow. But I'll show you some of the tomatoes so you can see what happened with them. Almost all the tomatoes have come up. So let me just grab a few. This has 3, so maybe it'll be easy to see over here. Okay. Let's see. Right here, there's 1, 2, and 3. And the stems are nice and thick. They're not long and spindly. They're nice and hairy, but the leaves are just green on the outside. But what I'm positive is going to happen is that when they grow their first set of true leaves out of there, they're not going to be stressed or upset at all. And the roots have been growing, and so they're just going to take off and do lovely. So we planted these, and so right now we are, our last frost date is, today's Monday, Tuesday, it'll be Wednesday is supposed to be, but you can have frost 2 weeks after your last frost date. And the blackberries have not bloomed yet, and normally your last frost will be when the blackberries bloom, at least in the south. In Missouri, Georgia, here, everywhere that I've ever lived, that's when your last frost is going to be. And they are budded out, or they got buds on them, but they're not bloomed yet. So anyway, so I think that all these yellow leaves are going to just go away, and the new growth, the first true leaves, they're going to be happy and healthy, and they're going to grow, and that they're going to just be fine. And all this time, even when we plant them inside, they sit there and they just sit there and they look like they're not doing anything, but they're developing the root system. And so they're going to start growing now that they're it's nice and warm. They're getting the covers off of them, which actually, though it keeps it warm, it helps them grow. The plastic does prevent some of the rays from coming in, and so now they won't have that cover on them, and the temperature is going to be warmer, and they've developed their roots, so they should skyrocket off right now. But it is super hot out here in the sun right now. It's so hot that my phone got hot enough that it said the camera couldn't work. So I'm going to try to hurry up and just show you a few things. And we are, because I know the blackberry winter will be coming, they're going to let all of these jugs and all the cups dry out and stack them. And so if it gets cold enough that we need them again, which we probably will, we'll just put them on for that night to insulate them and keep them from freezing. Let's see. So this is the blueberry, the atomic grape tomatoes. Let's see if you can see them right here. And the sun is really bright on them, but I don't know if you can tell with them. They are not really yellow. They're just green, and they have their first set of leaves. I think these were actually the first ones that come up, and they're green and they're happy. So I'm real sure that they're not really stressed. They just got a little hot, or they could even be a little green because of the rays filtering some of the light out. So you can see right here, I got a whole bunch of them come up. So we will add up today how many have sprouted and how many have not sprouted, but they go almost all the way down there. You can see where that last jug is. But I'll get the ratio of the success we have. And you do have to keep in mind that since children were planting it, it is possible some of them that didn't come up, they just got missed, which I hope not. But either way, we'll fill in. We can either take some of these that have multiple, we can scoop them up and move them into those empty spaces. There's just a few in the tomatoes. I mean, I'm thinking like 3, and I don't remember, I think we planted like 30-something tomatoes over here. So there's not that many that didn't come up. But we can either do that, or we can plant flowers or something else in their space, so it's not any kind of like big, nothing came up. A lot of stuff did come up, and it definitely was worth it. There's no way we could have started our plants inside in the bus with a limited space. And even in the house when we used to start our plants, it's such a stress, just pulling out the shelves, pulling out the grow lights, changing the height of the grow lights, trying to get in all the little nooks and crannies, trying to water and not spill it out on the floor. And we would have to end up putting my sheet pans under the plants so that it wouldn't drip into the floor. And then that means for 2-3 months I didn't have my sheet pans that I needed. And anyway, this was just much easier. Pull back the mulch, put down the compost, put the seed, water, put the jug on top, and for the most part left it be. There was a few times some of the jugs blew away with the wind, very few times, very, very, very few times. And it was very few jugs, and it wasn't a big deal. We did have, I think, twice that we had some cups, a bunch of cups blown away, but other than that, it was just like you come over and one would be knocked over occasionally, and it was very rare. It wasn't a big deal. The watering, like I said, for the ones that were scooped down, where the water could just run in, there was no problem at all. We did, I don't know, still maybe a total of 5 times for the cups. Took the cups off in water. I don't think it was more than that. And so they've been out here 5 weeks, you know, and that's not that big of a deal. The tomatoes were, for the most part, sprouted between 2 and 3 weeks from being planted, which is really good for the temperatures, you know, being still in the 20s and the 30s. And in this area, I think it's supposed to be a little bit cooler than what we're used to, but it's like a hot cold. We've already gotten the 80s, and then we're getting, you know, got back. It was snowing just, 4 days ago, and then, you know, in the 80s, and it was snowing. Anyway, it's bizarre. But everywhere that I've lived, Georgia and in Missouri, spring is difficult. It's hot, cold, and then hot. You know, it's not like it's cool or it's warm. There's no like just in between. It's either hot or it's cold. And so anyway, I feel like this did really good, especially with the temperature and the less amount of work that had to go into it. And my in-laws, they bought transplants, and they got those today. I'm not sure if they'll plant them today or not, but we'll be able to show you the difference in those growing and these growing to see if they just do better or the same. But even if they do the same, it is well worth it. It is so hot. My phone again said it was too hot to use the camera, so I'm in the shade now. So what I was saying is that even if the plants that I planted in the ground, even if they do the same as what the transplants are, which I hope they actually do better, it's well worth it. The transplants, they're going to cost $1 to $3 a piece, and for a pack of seeds is, you know, $2.25 to $4, maybe $4.50 depending on the variety. And you're looking at, you know, 25 or more seeds for that amount of money compared to the, you know, $1 to $3 per plant. So it really adds up. And, you know, doing it this way where it's in the ground, you're not having to buy the pot and soil and the pots to start inside, which still saves money. It does save money when you start your plants inside, but it is cheaper. It's a lot less work and a lot less labor, and there's no transplanting at all. And the seedlings are just going to be happier. So my in-laws bought some transplants today, and I'll go show a little video of that so we can watch. You can see how much bigger they are than mine in the ground, but you'll be able to see as they grow. I can pretty much bet mine are just going to take off and meet up or even bypass the transplant. So we'll see. What you got going on here?
It's almost dried off all the way.
What is?
The caterpillar.
The caterpillar. Tell them what happened to the caterpillar. Let's see. Oh.
It was falling in the water.
It was in water, and it was drowning, and it wasn't real happy, so you came.
It was trying to climb out, and it kept falling in.
Okay, so you've got this cabin that you've built, right?
Yes, and this is the step.
That's the step, so it's supposed to climb up the step. Well, he's climbing now, so maybe he's getting warm and drying out. Maybe he's hungry. You want to go find him some leaves?
Yeah.
Yeah, go find him some leaves, and maybe he'll eat and live. Thank you for saving him.
Can you try to keep him on the porch?
Can I keep him on the porch? Well, he's wanting to go. Right, got him some salad. Maybe he eats that kind. I don't know if he does or not.
Yeah, the caterpillars.
Did you know they're picky? They don't eat just anything?
Why?
Because they don't. Different caterpillars like different plants. Well, why don't you go take him by the tree that you found him? Because that's probably close to the kind of food he likes, since he's not wanting to eat those. Alrighty. Okay, so here are the pepper plants that are transplants. They've actually already, I don't know if you can tell, they've got blooms already trying to come up on them. And then those are the tomato transplants over there. I think it's got you in the shadows. Maybe that's a little better. These, let's see, those right there. So I'll go compare those to the ones they got planted right in the ground. Okay, so compare that to these little bitty. I'll get you up close, let you see. I don't know if you can see these little peppers right there, and there's some right there. It's hard to see with the screen and the sun. And then there's some right there and right there. The hot peppers are doing really good with this method. There's actually 3 right here. I don't know, I'll make a shadow. Let's see. There's 3 right there. These 2 still have their seed on. That looks a little not happy for some reason, but that one's still got its seed on it. These are doing good right here. One's got its seed on, one looks good. All of these hot peppers are up except for one. So they did really good. So there's one here, and there's two. Yeah, there's two there. And so we'll see the difference in them as they grow. So I got a ground cherry right there. It still got the seed attached. It hadn't started sprouting like the leaves yet, but you can see the appendage maybe is growing out of the seed. And it was actually right on top. So I want to try and make sure, because we're taking the cups off, I want to make sure it doesn't dry out, getting the direct sun right on it today. So I'm hoping now that all these cups are coming off the ground cherries and they'll get the water every day, that they'll sprout just fine. I was glad to see that when they're sprouting. There's a little something here. I'm not sure. I can't see if you tell. I can't see if you can see. I'm not sure if that's it or not. They are in the tomato family, and they're super tiny leaves when they sprout. But so many weeds are so super tiny. I'm not sure some of these little leaves whether they are ground cherries or not, or just weeds coming up. So these transplants were actually already planted the other day when we got the 3 days of cold. I don't know if you can see. They were covered. They got a bucket on it, and that one, it died. That one over there, it still looks okay. The leaves look a little transparent, like they're a little not happy, but that's another benefit of, even though mine are a little smaller, when they're closer to the mulch, it keeps them warmer and they're less likely to get the damage. But it does still have some green leaves down here, so it may keep on growing. Same thing here. These tomatoes were planted and they were covered when it got cold like it was, but it hurt it. Now this one over here, it's not super happy, but it looks okay. It's actually got some blossoms wanting to come up. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, that one, it might die. But yeah, it's got some blossoms that it actually might help to pinch those off so it can recover from the cold the other day. But this one, it may die, but it's possible if it got pruned that it would just send off some new leaves off the stem and be okay. But it definitely did not like the cold and took it a lot worse than what the little plants did. Hello there, little Quail. Are y'all happy? Are y'all hot? It's hot today. Y'all's heat lamp is off. The Quail are gonna go out this week into a quail pen.
We'll change it off later.
No, actually, we hope to get them out in a quail pen, but first thing, they have more room. They're still tight. We need to get them out. But the meat chicks, they are really tight, and so they're going into their pen first, and then we will move the Quail into this area because this is a good bit bigger than what they got. And then Michael will try to get their pen. But you can see the heat lamp was still on, and you can see they're not under it. They're all spread out. So yeah, go ahead and turn the heat lamp off. It is definitely warm today. So the other day on my birthday, I got some strawberry plants from Baker Creek, and I was super excited about it because they were heirloom strawberries, but they grow much bigger than regular heirloom strawberries. And we stuck them up in front of the dash of the bus so that they could get some sunshine, and it was cloudy. And today it was sunny and it's hot. And earlier today I told one of the kids to check on them, and I had watered them, and they were all completely wilted. They were down, and I was like, oh no, I almost didn't tell her to check on them. So I'm so glad that Yahweh pushed me to go ahead and double check on them. So we got them water, we got them out of the sun. They're looking mostly better, but I'm afraid this one's gonna die. It only has a single leaf. I can't tell you, that's just shriveled up. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's brown. Yeah, it's brown down there at the bottom. So I'm afraid that one's gonna die. Hopefully I'll send off some more leaves from the roots, because they will do that. But since these are young plants, it may have stressed them too much. But hoping they make it. So here is the quail pen Michael's making. So he'll be covering it. So it'll have the wire at the bottom. It's going to be so that they can still get grass and stuff through it, but so that they can't get out. And because for them, they're so small that if you're on an level surface, they could just climb out of it, or snakes or whatever could get in there real easy for them. And so this area here will be where it'll be covered, I believe, and I believe that area will not be covered. So they'll just have, sun in area. I may be wrong, but I think he's going to be putting the nesting area up here. But the quail, you need to have it somewhat short, enough that they have room to move around and things. But they don't prefer to fly. They prefer to crawl. Not crawl, but walk. But if it's too tall, especially if they get spooked, they will dart up and try to fly. And if it's too tall, it has to either be really tall or short. If it's too tall, they'll get enough momentum to break their neck. And if it's short enough, they're less likely to try to even jump and fly. So this is the height that he's making it. So we'll be able to move it like the chicken tractor so that they can get fresh grass, poking up each day and get, access. I really wanted an area where they were actually flat on the ground, but Michael just felt like it was going to be too risky. And also that when he goes to move it, if they're not wanting to get into this one area and that area open, it'll be real easy to hurt their legs. So this is what he's coming up with. I'm not sure what he's going to cover the top with. If he's going to do a tarp like the other thing, the meat chicken tractor, or if he's going to do metal. But anyway, that's his frame. It's almost done. What is that?
My arugula.
That's your arugula that you planted? Where'd you get the seeds?
What?
Where did you get the seeds to plant it? You remember? At PJ Kids Book Club? You remember? Remember they sent you seeds?
Yeah.
You want to show?
And they were
You just
free.
planted this the other day, didn't you?
A few days ago.
Let's see. Can you see?
I know.
Right there. Can you see it? Let's see. Got arugula coming up. Let's see. It's hard for me to see where my hand is. Okay, so Michael changed what he was going to do. He did put a back of netting and a front of netting. He wanted to get the one done so he could go ahead and get these meat birds out of that tight area. And so we got them.
I think.
Yeah, they're all supposed to be roosters except for those 6 white ones that we bought the other day.
This is rooster. See, it has a big comb.
Yeah, he does have a big comb. Yep. So they've got the tarp over it, and then he does have the heat lamp in there, which I bet he doesn't have on because it's so hot today.
Yeah, he doesn't have on. See.
It was in the 80s today, and I don't know, something about it just feels really, really hot. So let's see if you can see in there. Maybe I don't know. Hey, little chickies. Hi, chickies. So he put them over the area where we did have the other coop so that they would fertilize. This is where we're going to plant our squash. And so we want that good fertilizer put in here. So after they're done with this area, we'll end up adding more mulch to it. So they'll be not stinky. The mulch will keep it from being stinky. Even right now, I don't know if he added more mulch right now, but if you have enough mulch or bedding in your animals' areas, it'll keep it from smelling like a farmyard. So anyway, they'll be dropping their manure, and this will be our squash beds. Are y'all happy in there?
This is a rooster, right?
Let me see if I put it in there, if they can see. Let's see.
This is a rooster. See?
Yeah, so he's got the heat lamp up there, and it's not on. They got their feed trays and their water right there.
Hey, Mama, let this one down.
Uh-oh, don't let them out, because these will be hard to catch if a bunch of them get out. Yeah, don't let them out.
Yeah, it took them a long time to put them in.
Y'all are next, quails. Y'all get to get out into y'all's little pen. Y'all get to have some fresh grass and have fun. Now here's this lettuce that's no, don't pick my lettuce. That's talked to daily, and it was planted on the same day as that other one. It's shot up. It's almost as tall as my finger now. So Soraya's birthday is in, what's today, Monday? So hers is Thursday. That used to be our thing, is that we'd have our first salad on her birthday, but when we started planting by the moon, we started getting it earlier than that. And this just doesn't seem to be pumping it out like it normally is for us. And Michael just thinks that this ground is just so junky that it needs fertilized. So we're going to end up fertilizing it very soon. What are you doing?
Getting the dirt off my hands.
You're trying to pick stuff. He's trying to harvest carrots when they're this little. I'll let you pick one. We'll see what they look like. Let me see.
They're still like this.
Oh, they're nice.
They've always been like this.
They've always been like that. It's because you keep picking them when they're not ready. You gonna eat it?
Can you eat the leaves?
No, don't eat the leaves, but you can eat the root.
It still tastes like store-bought ones.
It still tastes like a store-bought carrot. So what does that mean? Does that mean it's good or no? Yeah, it's good. Okay. What did you just eat? You don't know? You just eating stuff?
It's sour. You gave it to me.
It's sour. Here, I'll give you another one. All right.
It's how it always tastes.
Huh?
It's how it always tasted.
How what always tastes?
This.
What is that?
I don't know, but I remember tasting this in Missouri. This is how it's always tastes.
It's lettuce. You've tasted it since Missouri?
Oh, this kind I've tasted before.
That same one?
It's been really sour.
It's sour? It shouldn't be sour. Well, hello, pretty babies. Hello there. Hi. Chick, 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 chick. Hi, chick, 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 chick. Y'all all enjoying y'all's fresh pasture now? So you've been in here 24 hours. And you see they've cut the grass. Sure, you can feed them that. Let's see, this is similar to, I don't know if you can tell the difference between over there and over here. But it's time they'll get slid down a little bit today and get some more grass. So today has been a little bit of a day, and I just want to kind of share a little bit of what Lyme looks like. So when I tried to go down and do a video of the chicks down in their chicken tractor, I had a bit of an episode, not a bit, I had an episode. So today's been warm. According to the Weather Channel, it's 78. I don't know what it was at the hottest here, but this afternoon, one of the girls went and checked it, and it was saying 80, and it was like later afternoon, so it was somewhere in the 80s for sure. And we had a problem where the air conditioner iced over, so we had to turn it off. And so the bus, it can cook, it can just cook with the sun shining on it. And so it started getting, it was already pretty warm because the air conditioner wasn't working before. We didn't realize it wasn't working. And then one of the neighbors, they were burning trash. And I'm very allergic to any kind of smells, but definitely chemical smells. So we couldn't even really open the vents in the bus or the windows, and so it was just getting hot. And after a while, kids were crazy. It was hot. We're going to go outside. We're going to go find somewhere in the shade. And so we did that for a little bit, and then I went to try to do some of the videos. And so I went down and went to the chickens, and then the wind started blowing the trash that way. And I was like, oh, I gotta go. Come on, we gotta go. And we started trying to get up. And at that moment, Michael was working on the air conditioner, so I knew the bus was hot. So I was like, I'm really hot. We gotta get over to his parents' porch because it's a covered porch. And I get halfway in between the porch and the bus, and I start getting really extreme. I don't even know how to exactly describe it. It's almost like going into panic, but it's not panic. It's not anxiety. It's just my heart rate got extremely high. Now, I don't know if you can always tell in the videos, but I walk like this, bent over. I walk keeping my head down to deal with my heart rate. So that actually comes from POTS, but it's a side effect of having Lyme. So there's lots of symptoms I have that get categorized under something else. They might get put under adrenal symptoms, or, hormonal, or under thyroid, or under POTS, or mast cell activation syndrome, or multiple chemical sensitivity, or Raynaud's syndrome, or reverse Raynaud's. There's I got tons of different little things, and they get categorized under those symptoms for that, whatever syndrome or disorder or dysfunction that they are. But Lyme is the big trigger that's triggering all those things. None of those things just happen. You always have some form of trigger, and usually you have multiple triggers. So for me, mold is also a trigger, but Lyme's a big trigger. So it's not actually a panic attack. It was just my heart was getting so high, and I have no idea how high it was, and I was kind of like, I'm in the middle. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to one place to get to safety, and I don't think I can turn around because I'm in the middle. I don't think I can even turn around and make it back to the bus. And it's just this like intense, something really, I'm about to pass out, something really bad's about to happen, getting super lightheaded. And I was just like, okay, you can make it. Just try to make it. Just calm down, and don't give in to that like, oh, where's Michael? What am I gonna do? Kind of thing. And so I just kind of like, okay, you're gonna make it over there. So I get over there to their porch, and I sit down, and I pulled up my legs and everything to kind of like tuck down in the chair to get everything a little bit more level with my heart to try to calm down the blood flow pumping and everything, and it wasn't working. And I tried for a little while to do that, and I started having reverse Raynaud's, so my hands and my feet, the blood vessels started swelling up super big and getting hot and burning and hurting. It wasn't the worst episode for that, but I'm super dizzy and lightheaded and just all kind of things going on. And it gets to a point where it's like, this isn't working, I'm gonna have to lay down completely flat. So I lay down, and I probably laid down for like, I don't know, 15 minutes, and my heart rate was still 108, so there's no telling what it was when I was actually up trying to get over there. It was super fast. And for if you don't know what's a normal heart rate, normally a athletic normal person, their heart rate can even be below 60 beats per minute when they're resting, but somewhere around 70 to 85, somewhere in there is like a normal healthy resting heart rate. So that's just resting. And then laying down, it definitely should be that or even lower. And for me, resting, whether I'm sitting or laying down, is normally in the 80s. And so when I have a heart issue, that even when my heart rate's going fast, once I lay down, it can still take a really long time for my nervous system to calm down and let my heart rate chill out. Even this thing here, I'm not wearing a mask outside and inhaling because of COVID. I am wearing a mask outside because I am so allergic to mold, and actually to any smells, but I can smell mold in the dirt. And so I have to wear, it's not just a cloth mask, this is an N99 mask. It's actually even more than N95, and it's got a filter inside of it that is disposable. So anyway, so I have to inhale. I can smell it in the leaves, I can smell it in hay. If there's hay strewed out, I can smell it in the dirt. There's mulch. And if it's a rainy day, even if I'm like on concrete or something, I can just smell it in the air. And we have a problem right now with opening even the windows and the vents on the bus because there's mulch around, and the mulch will come in the bus. So that's been, it helps on mud and things, but it's causing a problem that way. But anyway, so I had to lay down flat on the porch, and probably 20 minutes. My heart rate got finally down to 100, which still is not comfortable as a resting heart rate. Yeah, if you're up walking or if you're running or whatever, that would be like a crazy low heart rate. But for laying down flat and resting for 20 minutes and not even having been exercising or anything before that, that's kind of, it's uncomfortable. So even once my headache calmed down, or not my headache, my heart rate calmed down. See, my brain's frazzled from everything today too. I was still really lightheaded. I'm still lightheaded, and it's been, I don't even know what time it is, but it's probably been 2-3 hours, maybe even longer than that. And my vision, I started having a Lyme flare with it. My vision started getting real shaky and spazzy, where I'd look at stuff and it was just shaky. That's something that used to be a big Lyme symptom for me, that and it, I don't know, maybe it's kind of there, but not real bad all the time now. But it used to be really bad, where everything was shaky, but it would be really bad like if there was curtains that had strips on it, or if I was looking down a hallway like in a hotel where there's doors, some kind of pattern. It would just, it would be like really, really everything just shaky and really dizzy and things like that. But anyway, so my vision was getting shaky. Of course I was lightheaded, and I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. Okay, so there's a couple things that happened. So I have the heat will trigger POTS symptoms to get worse. So it was hot, so that could have been a trigger. But also mast cell activation syndrome is a trigger for POTS, and that's what makes me so reactive to all the allergic things, any kind of smells. So that could have kicked in when I smelled the plastic burning from them burning their trash. So then I have the heat. And anyway, I even started having muscle problems where like my foot, I had to stay like this because the muscle pain was so bad I couldn't even straighten it. So just little simple things are big deals when you have Lyme disease, and everyday things become big things. And not even everyday things, it can be like what is an everyday thing for me now would be something very mild, to go walk out to the garden and to the chicken coop, 2, maybe 3 times during the day, and have to sit down as soon as I get there. That would be normally a very mild, easy thing to do, and that's not a very mild and easy thing to do. It's a very strenuous thing. A lot of time, and actually it used to be even a month ago, is not something that I could have been doing, maybe 2 months ago. So that's something new that I'm able to do, and I'm praising Yahweh for it, and it's a great thing. But and I've been tolerating it fairly well. I need to sit down once I get to the garden, or I need to sit down once I get to the chicks, but as long as I'm walking bent over, it's okay. But adding in the extra heat today and adding in the smells, it was just like, okay, that's too much. And literally, it's one of those things, once that it hit me, not really the panic, I'm using the word panic because that's kind of what it feels like inside, but it's not really. I can just feel throughout my entire body, stuff is so severe going on at that moment. I'm sitting there saying, is this going to end up with an emergency room visit? Is this going to end up with 911? Is this going to end up with an ambulance call? Or am I just going to get over there, lay down, chill out, and be okay, and get up and go? And so it's even on like better days or good days, there's always like that. It can just take a split second to all of a sudden be a pure emergency. And sometimes that's a more like almost constant. There's at times where it's been a daily and throughout the day, constantly thinking, I'm gonna have to go to the emergency room. I'm gonna have to call 911. I might die today. That's been a real experience, multiple times a day, daily. At times, and I will say that's not a regular thing right now. I'm doing a little better right now, but that has been a regular thought that occurs often. And just the stress of knowing like any tiny little thing can happen that can just flip it over. It's always in the back of the mind. It's not just that, ew, I don't like that smell, that stinks. It's somebody might light up a cigarette around you and make your throat close up, and you might die, and that's it. And that's it's just a stress. And so actually I don't go anywhere. Even before COVID, that stuff is like I don't go anywhere because I can't control what people do, and it's not something that I need to control for them. But I take the responsibility. I'm staying home, I'm staying in my safe space, but even that, I can't control everything. The neighbor, several houses down, burning their trash, at times that will come in the bus, and I can't control that. And so I have to deal with it the best I can, use my mask the best I can. We have a very special air purifier in there too, but it's not always enough, but it helps anyway. And so just want to share a little bit of the gloom and doom, which I don't like to do all the time, but life with a chronic illness, especially like Lyme, that causes so many side things, it definitely can be a gloom and doom, but there's still lots of beauty in life, and I try to focus on that as much as I can.